Hi everyone, and welcome back to a web series that I haven't thought of a name for yet. Today we're going to be forging half-inch square tongs without any tongs. So to start out, I cut a 16-inch long bar of 5/8 round, and then I notched it in the middle at 8 inches. This is going to be the separation point between our tongs, so we're going to forge our tongs out of this one bar. Starting out, heat it up, bring it about an inch over. I'm a little short in this one. You'll see I move it back over so I can get some more length out of it. We're just going to forge this straight down. We're not going to forge any real angles into it like we normally see me doing, because this is going to be made to hold just half-inch square or 5/8 round. You'll see a little more up ahead. But yeah, right here I'm just getting a little more material into the head of my tongs, and then again I'm going to turn it at 45. I'm going to forge the bolster into it, and then we're going to start drawing out the reins after that. A tip here, because we're not using any tongs to forge these, you want to keep that end you're holding cool. So I don't always show it on camera, but pretty much after every heat, I'm going over it, I'm dunking my hand, I'm dunking the end that I'm going to hold in cold water just to make it easier to handle. This is one of those times when having a coal forge is actually easier to work with, because you can heat up smaller areas at a time, and you can isolate your heat a little better. I have the forced air propane, so and it's 12 inches long on the inside. Yeah, so right here I'm just drawing out the reins. I'm trying to get some extra length on these so that it's easier to work later on when I do separate them in half. I even go over, so here I am, I'm knocking down the other end. I've just switched the bar around and I've cooled it off, so I'm actually holding the end you saw me forging last. Forging this front part out, putting that 45 on it, and then again I'm going to heat it up, bring it back over to the power hammer, I'm going to draw out the reins. So here, this is a little trick I do. Apologize for the camera work, but basically I put a rag in water, and I try and sit that on the bar that I'm going to be holding to keep it cold. This helps me isolate the water a little better, so I don't have as much water, kind of like some people might use a ladle and pour it over. You get water everywhere that way, and I don't want to be slipping around in my shop. So again, drawing out the reins some more, getting a little more length on that. And then actually, just because I'm doing this without any tongs, a lot of vibration shoots into my hand when I use the power hammer. So I'm going to go over here, once I get the bulk of it done, I'm going to go over and finish it up by hand, draw those out some more. And once they get long enough, where you're comfortable to split it in half so that you can finish up each end, go ahead and do so. I'm going to try and get as much length out of these as I can. Like I said, if you have a coal forge, this kind of thing will be easier. So once you get some more, again, finish forging that bolster where you're going to put that rivet. Knock that end down. And I'm always second guessing myself. Just make sure that you're knocking it down the opposite end, or the opposite way that you knock down the front of the tongs, unless you're going to make a farrier style, which I will put a video on how to do that. I like the farrier style. I think they look pretty nice. A buddy of mine said that he thinks they just do it because they're lazy. I like the way it looks, and they're just as useful. They can definitely be a little harder to make though. It depends on the person. Alright, so off screen I just cut these in half on that line that I marked earlier. See, there's still some meat on the end of those. I'm going to forge those down into the ends of the tongs. I'm only heating up the very end because you see I gotta, you know, you have to hold, you're holding on to not too far a piece, so you don't want that heating up too much, and that heat will creep up unless you're cooling it off in between heats. So here I am, I'm finishing up those. They're the two halves next to each other. You see they worked out pretty well. Now off screen, well, some idiot working the camera named me. I forgot to record me putting that 45 in. What I also did was I put some notches in there so it'll grip a little better. And then I bent it at that 90-degree angle. And I used the same hardy block that I used before, same chisel. Now because I'm doing this without tongs, I've got to get my rivet in the forge somehow. Feel free to make your own rivets. You know, me, I find that, you know, I can buy a rivet for about 5 cents a piece. So I order 100 of them. A lot easier, but doing this without tongs, so I had to maneuver that rivet in there using both ends. Bring it back over, and then you got to position it in there so that we, yeah, you can see it's a little trouble, but get the rivet in there, knock it in, peen the end over, and then you've got a working pair of tongs. So the next thing to do is just do some hot fitting. Took me a little bit with these tongs. So while I got some dead air here and while I'm fitting these up, the winners will be announced on April 5th. Same time this video is going live. That's for the last video, the pair of square bolt tongs I made. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, so that you can enter to win these pair of tongs yourself. So we've got our tongs all set. Now we're just going to do the hot fit for them. I do a piece of short bar to get it initially lined up. Then I put a piece of longer bar in there. The longer bar lets you see how straight and narrow everything is, how plumbed up it is. A little better than the short piece. The short piece is just a little easier to work with when you're doing the initial lineup. So there you go. A pair of tongs when you don't have any tongs. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Please be sure to check out my Instagram, Round Lake Forge, and my website, roundlakeart.com. You can buy your own how-to tong kits, other blacksmithing merchandise. Alright, thanks everyone. See you next time.